I'd like to call this Germantown School District Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting to order on October 1st at 4:30 p.m. Roll call. Loth.
Here.
Medved is absent excused. Mr. Ewert's sitting in for Medved.
Here.
I am here, and Meg Cutts will be late. Item number 3, approval of agenda. I'll take a motion.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Loth, Ewert with the second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, approval of minutes. We don't have those yet. Our last meeting was yesterday, so those have not been published for public review. So we'll move on to item 5, reports and updates, long-range facility planning. Mr. Lord.
Yes, thank you. So as discussed at and following the September 16th Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting, administration has asked J.P. Cullen to present their approach and proposal as it relates to a facilities condition assessment and long-range planning services to the Buildings and Grounds Committee. And with that, I will turn it directly over to J.P. Cullen.
Appreciate that. First of all, thank you for having us this evening. Some of you we presented to, and some of you first time you're hearing and seeing our presentation, but we're excited to be here, excited to present in front of you. Before we get started, just want to be really clear, we're here as a CM that is looking to work with you on constructability and estimating services for your master facility planning. We're not an architect. Clearly, we're here just solely by ourselves as a CM, and we're going to talk to you today why we feel that's a good fit for you and why we're the right team to pair up with whatever architect you guys decide to work with in the future. The reason why we did that, quite frankly, is historically, or 85–90% of school districts do it this process. You hire an architect separate from the CM. We felt that was the right method to go with on this, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, thank you. My name's Shannon Metaxen, met some of you. I'm the project executive. I oversee our Milwaukee office. I've been in the construction industry for 26 years, all with J.P. Cullen and Sons. Throughout those 26 years, I've done a lot of K-12 projects over the years. So really, I'm here to lend my expertise, my experience with Jason and his team as we move forward. And then also as the project executive and the person who oversees the Milwaukee office, here to make sure that we meet our commitments that we're making to you here today moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Hi, everyone. Just so you guys know, I'm not a public speaker or anything like that, so I'm not perfect at this by any means. Just wanted to say that. My name's Jason Burka. I'd be the pre-construction manager for this project. I've been in the industry for approximately 31 years, all of them with J.P. Cullen. I spent 25 years in the field as a carpenter and superintendent, actually building projects, and the last 6 or so been on the pre-construction side. I feel my field experience helps bridge a lot of the gaps between the office and the field to help identify opportunities before they become issues. I'm really excited to be a part of this team, just by being able to anticipate the challenges a project like this would bring on and provide viable cost options. Then also with my wife working for another school district for the past several years, and I have an understanding how the district kind of operates and what's important to them and what matters to them and the community that they serve.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie Muth, and I'm going to be the community advisor on this project. I've been in the construction industry for nearly 20 years, all of those also with J.P. Cullen. As a district resident, I'm going to work hand in hand with you on the community education and engagement efforts during this master planning process. And for me, one of the most rewarding things in our industry is to be able to work on a project in your own community. And I've been fortunate to contribute to projects in neighboring communities, and it would just be really exciting to be able to work on a project that my kids are going to benefit from one day and share that with them.
Cool. I'm George Cullen, co-president and fifth-generation family owner of Cullen. Part of my role in leading the company is oversight of our pre-construction, which is what Jason does. It's part of our estimating process, and it's a big role that we would play as a construction manager in the long-range facility master plan. So I recognize some of you probably have not heard of J.P. Cullen or don't know a lot about us. So I just wanted to quickly point out 3 things about our company that I think matters for this discussion. We are proud to be a 5th generation family business. I'm part of our 5th generation But I think what's even more cool is we're proud of, we have multiple generations of non-Cullen families in the business. Actually, Shannon and Jason are two second-generation families within our companies. We actually have a couple third-generation families within our business. And to me, I think that signals the culture that we have, that if you work someplace and you want your child to come work there, or your sibling, or whoever, it shows the type of people that we have. And why that matters to you all is we do have the best people, and when we work for our customers, they right away recognize how our people are adding value to their project. K-12, building schools, that's really been something we've done since our founding in the late 1800s, early 1900s. We're really fortunate to have customers that span 5 generations, and a couple of them are schools. We've done 18 recent facility assessments. We've done over $1 billion worth of K-12 work. We have $600 million experience with PRA, who I know interviewed with you all yesterday. And we've actually done 8 projects with the Germantown School District, and there's some pictures up there of us speaking to your students. We built the addition to the Rockfield Elementary School, and we also donated to the Tech Ed Shed. So again, you know, why does that matter? It matters because the people we'll bring to this project will bring all of that experience and will be an active voice at the table in bringing those K-12 best practices to your facility master plan. And then finally, the last thing, that's a quote from one of our customers speaking to how great a job our pre-construction manager did for that district. Jason is one of our senior pre-construction managers. We pride ourselves in our ability to estimate and provide pre-construction services. So as part of your facility master plan, and Jason's going to go into more detail, the architect with our input is going to come up with what needs to be done as part of your facility master plan. Our biggest job as part of that is to provide accurate cost estimation to ensure, as you look at your plan, what is the cost of that going to be over this long-range master plan. And by having over 30 pre-construction professionals in our company that all they do is estimate, it should give you the confidence that we have the ability to accurately price what modifications may come up as part of your facility master plan. So those are the things I just want to make sure you knew a little bit more about JP Cullen. Our team is going to go into a lot more detail about how do we participate as part of your master plan. And Frank, you provided these topics for us to speak to. We will cover each one of them. But I do want to just take a moment, since we have presented to some of you all, we haven't presented to all of you. Is there any other topics that you want to make sure we cover today? I'll make a note of it and just make sure we'll cover those before we conclude today. Any other things that come to mind?
I think you got the start of what we're looking for.
Okay, cool. And we hope if there's any questions as we go, and we'll also leave ample time for a really good question and answer session too. So I'm going to turn over to Shannon just to give a little bit more about the role that we'll play.
Thank you, George. So on the screen, you can see call them boxes, whatever. There are different roles that each of us play, whether it be architect, construction manager. I think what's important moving forward is that you're going to get a partner with us that is going to be involved in every one of those approaches and of those areas, and really just make sure that we're a part of the team and we really understand what's being asked, what some of the surveys that PRA may do, some of the meetings with the end users, or Frank with you and your team, making sure we really understand that. As we look at this, why this team, first and foremost, we know the easy step here could be for you to move forward with the team that actually joined and say they were here in the past, let's just move forward with them. We believe we're the right team because you're gonna get an active, engaged construction manager at every step. Jason's gonna talk about some of that, but I think it's important that we're there at every meeting, listening, really understanding as part of that process. Secondly, George mentioned it with the amount of work that we've done with PRA recently, and we're actually working with some of them on some facility master planning right now. But it's important that we push each other, that we challenge each other. We're going to bring experts. Jason, with his knowledge and background as a superintendent, that's what he does. That is the only thing he does. He's not playing superintendent on other jobs. He is a pre-construction professional for us, which is really being a person that's gonna work on giving you accurate estimates, and that's it. And then, when you pair that institutional knowledge that PRA has, I think the other thing that we bring is a fresh perspective, a fresh set of eyes. You know, we're not gonna rely on as-built, we're not gonna rely on what someone says. It's our job to go really get into the details and figure out what does that really mean, what does that really, gonna cause the budget and the estimate. An example, again, getting in ceilings, really opening ceilings up, and we give you multiple examples of where we've held the consultant's hand of the architect, whether it be mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and really saying, let's go look at this, let's really understand it, because we're gonna give you a number that you guys are gonna rely on to make some decisions. And we have to make sure that number's right.
All right, so basically, I'm going to jump into what we would be working with the architect on. So the first process would be to actually get out there and develop the facility plan. This is the comprehensive plan that ties in with your overall strategic plan. We do have the experience to hit the ground running, working with hand in hand with your team as well as the architectural and engineering team. We will walk and examine all your facilities and document any deficiencies, whether it be water infiltration, structural, ADA access concerns, security concerns, life safety possibly. Then this would be done and accomplished with the assistance of our VDC team, which is our virtual design and construction team. And we would use drones, 3D scans, laser scannings, Matterport, which is kind of like a cool little dollhouse view of your facility where you can get in and walk around in it. Well, not physically walk around, but you guys get it. Along with some other stuff, so we can develop all these reports, which I'll end up talking on as we get a little bit further in. But after through this whole process, it devires an all-inclusive master list of the district needs that we will provide costing on as this process evolves. And then if I did bring along a couple of examples on projects, we actually partnered with PRA on a master facilities presentation for Watertown School District. They are still gonna go out for CM services later, but we did assist with this. I do have a high-level budgetary preliminary budget summary for some of the Janesville schoolwork. Very small portion of it, but I did bring that along in case anybody wants to thumb through it, just for reference.
Thanks, Jason. I did just want to expand a little bit on the technology side because it's such a crucial part of this process. And I just wanted to raise three things. So that is the dollhouse that Jason referred to, that Matterport. So we're one of the national experts in the use of 3D laser scanners. And what you use this for is you come into a facility and yes, there's as-built, but by utilizing a 3D laser scan, you're able to confirm what those as-built show, build a model, and then the architect designs off what's actually there. It is a super powerful tool when you're looking at doing remodels or any other work inside of existing buildings. Jason mentioned drones, and there's a lot of cool things with drones, with aerial photos, aerial videos, but where I think it would really work here, and Jason alluded to it a little bit, is drones are an awesome tool. You know, whenever you're looking at older buildings, just like our houses, you think about the roof, you think about how water's getting in. So by using a drone, the days of us having to go on ladders around a whole building and how much time that takes is gone. We use drones now to do that exterior survey to understand where there could be issues, where water could be getting in. The last thing from a technology standpoint, and there's a lot that we can go into, but I think a really neat application for schools, drones also have the ability to do thermal imaging. So when you look at an exterior wall of a building, you're gonna see if there's heat loss or heat gain. And we know in schools, one of the ways kids don't have the opportunity to have a good learning environment if they're way too hot or they're way too cool. So by using this tool and recognizing maybe there's some issues with the windows that are now allowing too much cold to get in the winter or too much heat to get in the warm months, it's just another cool analysis that we can use to inform what might need to be repaired over a long-range master plan.
Thanks, George. Next part, kind of commenting on the slide up here, this is where we take all that data and we start to build your capital improvement plan altogether. So all that, we take all that information that we've gathered and we start breaking it into categories. Those categories can be any orders from roofs, site maintenance, life safety. It could be your softball fields, it could be exterior improvements, so on and so forth. However you guys want to break out the list, and however the list shakes out is how the list would be generated. Then this could further be broken down into categorizations, like one being major. It has to be addressed immediately, like within the next year, maybe two. You could assign it a 2 for the next 2 to 5 years, or keep going up the road until you get to the end. And then as the reports are assembled, we take our 132 years of experience and constructing K-12 facilities. This includes all of our in-house experts, from our field superintendents, our masonry crews, our carpentry crews, our steel crews. We have an in-house structural engineer. We have MEPF systems experts, all to actually bounce all this data off of, so that all that information is actually been vetted not only by our team on the pre-construction side, but by our internal experts as well. So on this one, this is the last kind of part of the puzzle that kind of joins everything all together. This is where we work with the architect to actually establish a comprehensive budget. So earlier I mentioned that all-inclusive list of the district needs, or a master list, so to speak. This is a really boiled down version of that master list. This is like, for example, this is an example that we did on a recently completed facilities assessment project for an elementary school. And as if you look at that pie chart, it's a really good visualization on where the bulk of your costs are actually lying for this school particularly. You can see that there's a really heavy focus on the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing side, which for older facilities, it's almost always common to see that actually pop up. And then also, if you look in the exterior improvements and our exterior enclosure, that's a big chunk too, which a lot of the buildings that you have are on the older side, even though there has been some recent renovations as late as 2018. But this just paints a good picture and gives the board a good visual so that you guys can make sound decisions for future.
Jason?
Yeah.
Question regarding that pie chart. So then that relates back to the facility map regarding like 2 years, a portion of mechanical should be addressed.
Yep.
But there's another portion that could be 10 years down the road that makes that 6.6.
Yes.
Thank you.
So what this is this is a really compressed version. Like if you look at what's up on the screen right now, there's priorities assigned to everything on there. 1 being immediate and high concern, 5 being, now it's in good condition. We've got some time to wait on this yet, and we can actually go through a number of years before we actually have to address it.
Thank you.
No problem. So when we go through this process for Germantown, I would have 3 main focuses on this to ensure success. One of them being accuracy. I mean, the budget we create needs to be accurate for you guys, and reliable. I mean, this would be accomplished by us having boots on the grounds with our field crew members actually going out and physically pulling the ceiling tiles, as George had mentioned. I mean, if we have to, I know we discussed non-destructive stuff, non-destructive investigations, but it may warrant, and if there's a major water infiltration someplace and there's severe damage, it may require further investigation and then a patch back. I mean, it's part of the whole process to actually get you accurate numbers and a full assessment of everything. And then I just want to make a comment on this. I mean, while the architectural side of things is really primarily focused on the educational adequacy of your facilities, I mean, which that means like it's your classroom size. I mean, it's taking internal spaces and repurposing them for something else. Your code compliance with all the latest fire codes or building codes, that's them. I mean, our focus as builders would be how do you take all that stuff that they're putting on a piece of paper and making sure that all the needs are addressed. I mean, for example, if the architect says that your classrooms are too small and we have to start looking at walls for budgeting purposes, somebody needs to understand, well, is it a load-bearing wall? I mean, load-bearing means that it's actually holding up your structure, and it's not easily moved without a small act of Congress. I mean, but Or another example would be if you're replacing an air handler or a rooftop unit. I mean, has the entire process been fully vetted and thought out from start to finish? I mean, will the equipment fit through an existing opening? I mean, is it gonna go in through your front doors, or do we have to open up a roof or a wall in order to gain access for it? Is the equipment, controls that are running it old and outdated, such as pneumatic, and it would need to be upgraded to DDC, which is an electronic version of it? And that's all things to consider. I mean, if you're putting in new air handlers, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be running new ductwork. So has anybody thought about how much ceiling is gonna have to be removed in order to run that new ductwork? Same thing with the ductwork. Is there a wall that's gonna penetrate that you have to open up the block or drywall walls in order for them to gain access? And then if that wall's a fire-rated entity, that would trigger the need for fire dampers, fire smoke dampers as well. Equipment pads, or in the case of a rooftop unit, is your existing building capable of supporting that unit, that new equipment, without severe structural reinforcement? So that's just a few things that pop into my head when I see, sorry, I kind of rambled on a little bit, but I mean, when I see a drawing, that's kind of what runs through my head. I'm analytical, and that's why I'm not a really good speaker. Second point I wanted to talk on is transparency. I mean, throughout this whole process, we really monitor the budget, and at set points provide detailed breakdowns on costs. So this is done so that you guys have complete transparency and understand how things are shaking out as the plan would evolve throughout the whole process, and you guys can plan for the future, for future endeavors. And then lastly, I just want to say the third point is value. I mean, what sets our pre-construction apart is that we are really good at cost management as well as being builders to the core. I mean, I would take personal responsibilities in the budgets that we provide. I mean, because I don't know, my kids all went through schools as well, and if I give you a bad budget and I constantly come to you and say, I need more, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, get it right the first time and to get the most out of your taxpayer dollars at the end of the day.
So Jason mentioned there's a space needs assessment, and I just want to be clear that PRA will lead that. I think it's important, as what he was saying, is we're sitting at the table really understanding what's being discussed, and we're there as, call it, construction professionals. We're able to talk to Frank and his team, which we would say that's your construction professionals. How do we make sure that we're on the same page as we go forward looking at this and providing accurate information? Just a case study real quick. We were in a meeting with the school district, and they talked about increasing a cafeteria. The size, and what they looked at is they started looking at the amount of students. The cafeteria was built for, let's just say, 1,200 kids. Now they're up to 1,700. Cafeteria is not big enough, which triggers the kitchen's probably not big enough. So sitting in those meetings and understanding that, right away, our mind, as Jason just talked about, where his mind goes, it's, okay, if we do this, it isn't just as easy as saying, okay, that's $280 a square foot, just do that and you're good to go, run with it. No, we're looking at things like, okay, if you're gonna extend this, there's a grease trap somewhere around here. Where is it? Does it need to get moved? Is the air handling unit sized properly? Because now we're expanding the footprint. Do we have to look at that? How does all this plumbing, as you extend the extension of the kitchen, how does that impact, getting all the waste out and all the water and all the drains? So we're looking at all that as we hear all this information, and really what it is, it's allow us to first understand it in detail, think through it, but then provide a quick budget for everyone to understand. Is this something we really want to go down? If this thing's going to be $9 million, is this even worth talking about, or is there another way, another method? That's what we want to provide to you guys going forward. Next, program needs assessment. Again, be really clear, PRA is going to lead this. This is their expertise. This is what they know. They're going to be able to look at certain programs that you want to do, size of classrooms, number of students, all of that, and that's what they do, and they do it well. Where we come in, again, understanding that, really making sure that we're part of the team, that we're challenging them, and quite frankly, challenging Germantown School District, and maybe Frank and his team, is this the route we want to go down? Another quick example, we were working with a district. They wanted to do a new tech ed in the addition. As we were listening, we were looking, we were gonna tear down part of the building, we were gonna keep the 93 addition, which was the newest part of that school, and then do this large addition. We looked at an area and said, hey, there's this area over here, it's on the outside proper of the building, the existing. We know we need to be outside, because we have to get a dust collector outside if you wanna do this tech ed department wood shop area. Let's go look at that. So we went and looked at that, we took ceilings down, we made sure that we had floor to ceiling heights for all the additional ductwork that's included with the dust collector. We looked at the air handling unit, as we blow walls out, does this still make sense, can it service this area? And what we found was that it made perfect sense to move the tech ed department into the existing building versus a brand new building. And it's just cheaper, it just is, you have all the infrastructure there already. So we felt like, that's our job, provide value to the district, give them ideas, even though we're not program, we're not architects, that's not what we do. But I think we do enough K-12, and we have an understanding, and it's okay to ask questions and challenge people, does this really make sense, how about this, how about that? That's what we should be providing you, the district, and making sure that we, along with PRA, are bringing the best value to you.
The next piece that we just wanted to cover with you is the community communication. The communication through the master planning process is really critical, and it's gonna start day one. You could think of me as a translator to the community. I'm gonna work with Jason and his team and PRA to break down the complex information in those huge books into easy to understand messages, and help you craft talking points, create materials for you so that you can explain what you're doing to your district staff, students, your parents, and the community. I'm gonna support you through, if you have any open houses, community advisory meetings, school board meetings, etc. The support could look like me creating materials for you, attending, or even our team coming to present and share the information that we're finding and provide some updates. We're also gonna leverage our local network in the area, including 15 of our people, to be our eyes and ears in the community. And we're gonna try to tap into their insights and perspectives to help inform our outreach efforts. This is really just all about making sure that the community understands the why and the purpose behind the master planning effort, and really to maintain that transparency of what we're doing. I just wanted to share a quick example of what engagement could look like in a master planning effort like this. On the screen, you'll see there's some screenshots of us, some postcards for Hamilton School District. During their master planning, Hamilton really recognized the need to better engage and educate their community that's 60 and over. They had a really hard time reaching them. We knew that snail mail was the way to reach them, so to start, we launched this series of postcards that went out on a quarterly basis. And it's one thing to send a postcard, but it might just end up in the trash. So we wanted to try something else to push them to engage with the district. So they had this program called the Golden Agers Courtesy Pass. It was a long-standing initiative in the district, but really underutilized. And what it does is it allows residents in the community 60 plus to attend any athletic events or any school district events for free. They just have to come into the district and show proof of residency. So the response was pretty incredible. That group of people started coming in, visiting the district office regularly, many of whom hadn't been in the district since they graduated. And the initiative not only connected them with the school community again, but it also led to just asking for tours of the facility to see what was going on in the district. This simple strategy just allowed them to engage with a part of their community that had been really hard to reach previously. And these are the kind of things that we're gonna bring to you. We're gonna help you communicate and engage with the community so we can be transparent throughout the entire facility master planning process, so everyone understands what we're doing and why. Then just before we go into questions, I just wanted to take a moment and just say how excited we are for this opportunity to work with Germantown. It, like you heard, it obviously hits close to me. Working on the 2016 referendum and being a resident, I just really feel a personal responsibility. And having worked with these team members throughout my 20 years at Cullen, there's no one else I'd rather see doing this work. Any other firm you're interviewing has the capability to do this project, but the manner in which that happens and the experience that you guys have along the way is all about the people. And the right people really differentiate a great project experience from a just hurry up and get it done experience. So this team, they're gonna have good chemistry with each other, they're gonna have good chemistry with PRA, they're gonna have good chemistry with you, the district, and the community. And we're gonna all come together and get this done the right way. All this to say is that this team is gonna really bring the passion and dedication to always doing what's right to ensure that we make your vision a reality and truly provide a long-term solution for Germantown. So with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you all have for us.
I might have missed it because
Yeah.
I came in a little late, but
Yeah.
you guys keep mentioning PRA. Is that who you work with, or you're assuming that's who we're going with?
We would assume that's who you're going with.
Okay.
We work with a lot of architects, including
Okay.
PRA, but we assume based upon them being the only architect that responded to the RFP, that's
Gotcha.
who you'd all be working with.
Okay. And then how long does it take you to do all this, go through everything and just have a plan to present to us?
Yeah.
Got it up on the screen, actually.
Yep.
Agreed.
Thank you, George. So we're anticipating, just through history, it's gonna take about 3 months for your architect to do that facility assessment, do the interviews, understand the space program needs. What we would do is then be involved in that whole 3 months, and what we would say is, we're taking the information, Jason and his team are putting the pricing together along the way, but there are gonna be a lot of questions, a lot of things we need to investigate. So start to finish, from the time you get the architect engaged and they're sitting in, doing interviews and doing a facility assessment, it's 5 months from that time is what we're projecting. So we're saying about 2 months after they're done, that we would slide this book to you and say, here it all is, everything in detail.
Okay, thank you.
The shading isn't showing up
Oh.
very nice on there, so.
Absolutely.
Who's next?
Oh, sorry. I got something.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Mr. Barney.
Would you consider PRA to be the local expert when it comes to K-12 architecture?
Yeah, we obviously work with a lot of architects, but PRA is a great firm, and we do a lot of great work with PRA.
Let me ask the question a different way. What other architects do you work with that you would also consider to be great architects
Yeah,
that
no,
you've
that's
worked
fair.
with on school projects?
So I would say the 3 primary architects that do K-12 work, and please add in if you think
Yep.
I'm missing, PRA, BRA, and EUA would be the 3, and I believe they're all invited. Those would be the 3 primary architects, and if you look at market share of the K-12 space, Growth is another firm that does K-12 work, that we do K-12 work, but am I missing anybody, guys?
I'd say those are the top 3, and
Yeah.
throw Growth in there for the 4th.
Yep. I hope that answered.
Perfect, thank
Yeah.
you.
Mr. Huber?
Sure. So the RFP that we were looking for, or response for, we're heavily interested in figuring out where our current maintenance costs and projected maintenance costs are. Which I have a feeling is why we didn't get a lot of architectural response to the RFPs. And I think we got PRA because they came with CD Smith. But we do need the information they can bring in, right? We need that study, that projection, the residency projections, those types of things. And I'm hearing from you as you're focused on more the mechanical side. And we see districts that kind of surround us with kind of some big deferred maintenance costs that trigger referendums. We're looking to stay out of that. That's the whole point of this project for me sitting in this seat, as a start, right? To bring in to our strategic plan along the way. Feeling that's why we didn't get a ton of architectural response, because we're not looking for a new PAC, a field house, something along those lines. But we are interested in potential facility upgrades. So to kind of marry that, how does that work for you and
Yeah.
your approach?
Actually, Jason, you want to cover like how our assessment, I mean, it ranges the gamut of what
Yeah.
we're looking at, and a lot of it is maintenance.
Yeah, it's, if you would peruse this book, you can get a really good idea, because basically it leaves nothing unturned. If you have issues with restroom accessibility and stuff like that, because A lot of the focus that we're seeing in a lot of the districts right now is there's a heavy push on the restrooms, a heavy push on security at main entrance to have the secure double entry or whatever that may be. There's a heavy focus on roof maintenance. There's been deferred maintenance on exterior envelopes where you have a ton of masonry tuck pointing that needs to be done. There's foundation damage, there's cracking, there's actual vapor barrier failure. There's roof blocking failures, there's EFIS failures. I mean, the list goes on and on. This is all part of that. You can take that entire list, you can look at it, you will have a huge gamut of information in front of you that everybody can work as a team to decipher and figure out where in that pecking order you want things to land. It's not just on the mechanicals, because mechanicals are a big component to it, but everything else makes up that whole pie, so to speak. I mean, if you have an air handling unit, I mean, nobody likes to sit in hot and extremely hot weather, extremely cold weather. It's not a great conducive learning environment. I mean, my daughter's goes to Oconomowoc right now, and they're in the process of upgrading their HVAC, and they had zero air conditioning for the last 3 weeks since school started, and it's been miserable.
And Jason, you would say, like, when we go and we walk these buildings, we're really the ones pointing out those maintenance things.
Yes.
We're bringing our experience and we're recognizing where there is. I mean, it sounds simple, but you walk into a room and you see stains on your tile, you gotta start
It's
looking.
coming from someplace.
It's coming from, so that's really the role we play. So that, like, maintenance aspect of this report would be a lot of the lifting from us as the builder, right, Jason?
Correct. And then, I mean, anybody can count windows or count brick on the outside of a building. You need to understand how the components are all pulled together. I mean, with us having our internal experts, and I have a 25 years plus of field experience, I understand. I've been inside of old buildings. I've done historic restorations, hospitals. I mean, there's not too much I haven't really seen right now.
Were you gonna say something, Shane?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that Watertown has some aging schools, and of this thick book here, and happy to peruse it, but I'm gonna guess, 75% of it is exactly what you're talking about, how we work with them on some of the stuff that they're looking at.
And was that end in a referendum, or is that?
They haven't gone yet,
Okay.
so they're gonna do the same process. They're actually out for a CM right now, so we worked with them just to do their facility assessment, and now they're gonna decide what route they go from a CM standpoint.
Russ, are you really asking, like, are we interested in the work, even if it doesn't lead to a referendum? Like, I feel like that was the question.
We can get to that part of it.
Okay.
But I'm more interested in, we don't know the answer. So there
Yeah.
could be an answer that would absolutely say something along those lines. But if it was 8 million versus 84 million, because we had a 10-year plan that helped us use a Fund 46-ish, right?
Yeah.
And build along the way, or,
Correct.
right? Take care of a lot of that maintenance along the way in a strategic manner versus here we are with $50 million that needs to be.
You're hitting the nail on the head.
On the
I can
head.
use an analogy that's too close to what we do. This will be a tool to inform your strategic plan.
Yes.
And you don't decide anything until you get this as part of your overall tool. So that, you're exactly right, like, you need to do this step to understand. Maybe we do get done with it, and it is just, we can rely upon the part of our budget that's for maintenance, and we can be in really good shape. So that's what this process is really meant to pull out.
And can that report be built without an architect?
You know, it goes back to, we're builders, and some of the program assessment that needs to be done, if that's what you come with, that's not what we do. It just isn't. Our architects are gonna have a certain expertise. They're gonna hire consultants who have another expertise, whether it be traffic studies, right? They're gonna go hire a consultant that's gonna tell them what should the traffic study look like and what should we do if we do this addition. They're gonna have mechanical, electrical, plumbing consultants that help them through that process. So I think we all have expertise, but Chris, to be honest with you, there's certain components we can do without an architect, but there's some we can't.
And I think the way I would add on to it too is, if you're gonna do this, you wanna take a whole look at it, right? Like, you want to actually have the expert that's an architect to look at the future programming. So, can we come in and do just a maintenance report? Yes. But from what was called for in the RFP, what I would advise to you as part of your strategic plan, there's value in bringing in an architect that can look at, you mentioned earlier, population growth, and what does that mean for your size of your schools. So, yes, we do the maintenance and a lot of what Shannon said, but I think my recommendation to you is there's value that architects bring, just like there's values that we bring. And why we see most schools through this process, and I know it was, it was the intention here too, that you had an architect and you had a construction manager. Other questions?
As far as who's crawling through the buildings, checking everything out, is it calling people, or is it PRA people, or?
There could be a combination of both. I mean, there would be a portion the architectural group would do, and then probably getting into the bowels, excuse me, of the inner depths of certain things would more than likely be our field guys or myself.
Okay.
I've been above plenty of ceilings in my life.
Just to add to that, I think one of the critical components of that is we need to do it hand in hand with them.
Right.
We've,
I was
a
just
long
gonna-
time
I was
ago,
just gonna
learned-
ask
It can be.
What was that?
like-
I was just gonna ask that. Is
yeah,
this-
we've learned a long time ago, you cannot leave the architect or consultant go by himself and then come back and give us a 2-sentence blurb of what we should be looking at or doing. And it is amazing, but right or wrong, right, everyone wants to go to your as-built frame and go, yep, well, this is right there, that's what this says. No, that's not fact, and we've learned that the hard way. So we're gonna go pop tile and lift it up as long as Frank's okay, and then it go up and go, is that really there or is it not there?
I think we saw some of that with the last.
You must have listened
Yep.
to the meeting yesterday on
No.
something that may or may not have been missed on a previous project.
Me and Jason have done a lot of work, so before I was a project manager, Jason was a superintendent. We did a lot of healthcare work, and if there's one place you don't want to not pop everything and understand where the ductwork is, or where this is, or how that wall's built, you wanna learn a hard lesson, don't do that, and then that's when the budgets are wrong, because we didn't account for it.
Ms. Brown?
It's probably the same question asked a different way. Is there a disadvantage to having your side of the project done and completed first, and then having the architect look at it? So you know exactly, what conditions are, so, maybe you come across something that this needs to be removed. And then the architect can build that into the plans and say, well, if we're gonna put it on another room, we do it here. So is there a disadvantage to your side coming first?
I think it's obviously a really good question.
Yeah.
Part of like.
I understand.
Well, part of like why we're thinking of how to respond is it's just not how it's typically done.
Yeah, and I understand it.
Yeah.
Can you think of a time in the past where you were working alongside an architect and something came up on the mechanical side or the construction side that the architect then had to change your plan? And you go, I wish we would have seen that first.
Well, I think that's the advantage of both being engaged at the same time, is there's that back and forth with each other. And, we both, while we like to think we look at things in the same lens, we just don't. Like, we have people like Jason, who was a carpenter for, you said how many years? 15?
I still am.
And they have people who are very good at designing spaces. So there just is a different lens and viewpoint, so I think the disadvantage is, as you're doing that exercise, you're not getting the benefit of two lenses that are very important in your overall facility plan.
Okay. But on your side, if there's a structural failure or something, nothing's gonna change that. They're gonna have to change your plan around that.
So you're saying if there's like if we come
Like
in and we say
a
there's an
roof
issue
or
with the
something,
structural,
or,
Yeah.
a shop glass needs to be vented outside.
Yep.
they're gonna have to implement that into their plan.
Right.
Correct,
Mhm.
his, Jason's example of like, we wanna make this classroom a lot bigger, and we say, well, hold on, that's a load-bearing wall. Or, it's not practical, we're doing a remodel in our office in Janesville right now, and it was built in a very long time ago, the ceilings are too low. And we worked with the architect, who wanted to put in these beautiful light fixtures, and we had to say to him, listen, guys, there's not enough room for those light fixtures. So that's that give and take
Okay,
between the two.
fair enough.
Any other questions? Dr. Reuter, any questions?
Mine were answered.
I guess I've got one more comment.
Mr. Frank?
Katie, I think you asked about, the referendum thing, and was kind of hinted at, well, we're not necessarily looking at that, but the background information that came along with this meeting has a referendum in it 109 times.
Yeah.
To me, that would give the impression that that's your end goal, is to get us to a referendum.
No, so in the RFP, there was like a section at the bottom that said there could be a potential implementation. So when we submit a proposal, we wanna make sure that we get shortlisted, so we wanna show you all of our capabilities. So if you do decide to go that path, which I know that you are not intending to, just that, to know that we do that. The other thing that comes with that referendum experience, the same tools that we use to communicate and educate and engage with a community during a referendum are the same tools that we can repurpose during a master planning process to really engage and communicate with the community. So that would be the only other reason that it would have been in there too, is just to show our capabilities when it comes to that and how we can support the district. I'm pretty sure that you guys do have a communications person on staff, so they might handle it all, but we're more than happy to be a resource for them.
And one thing, that's part of why I'm sitting here, our pre-construction department, we do estimates for our customers who don't then intend to build. And we get compensated for doing that work. So in this instance, like, we submitted a fee to get compensated to do our job in a facility assessment, and that's all we're expecting. It's a stage gate process, and this is the first stage, and again, back to my point earlier, this is to provide you all a tool to decide what's best for the district. We're not gonna influence that. It's gotta be with the administration and the board.
All right, thank you.
This is a good one.
No, go ahead.
So have you guys had a time where you did go over budget, and what did you learn from that that would benefit us as a school district?
Yeah, we have, and so what we learned from it, we always gotta be, proactive sitting in meetings, because that's where some things usually fall down, where, we have a meeting with an architect and an owner, and we all say, this is what we wanna do. Then the architect, right or wrong, goes away and doesn't draw necessarily what we all thought we were going to, what we priced. And then we get it back, and then we got a price, and we go, hey, all right, we told you that was gonna be $500,000, now it's $700,000. Our job in that process is to identify that early on and go, hey, if we can get the drawings, and we've learned this now, we do a lot of meetings with the architect, whether it be on intervals, to say, okay, we didn't talk about this, why are we adding this? And our job then is to come back to whether it's Frank or Chris, whoever's leading your charge, to go, are you guys sure you want this? Because this is gonna be about $30,000 if you guys continue down this path. You may say, we're good, it's something we need, we're gonna add it. But ultimately, the other thing we should be doing, whether we're over budget or under budget, is coming with ideas that are gonna save you money. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. What we wanna do is be very clear to you that this is not going to take away any quality, let's say, that Frank wants. It's going to meet the same quality. There's ceiling tiles out there that probably range again from $2 to $5 a piece, that do all the same stuff. It just doesn't have some sticker on it or some name brand on it. So we wanna do that regardless. So in the end, yes, we're not perfect. I'd be lying to you if I said we're perfect, we're never over budget. Our job is to recognize it early, identify it, let you know about it, and then come with ways and ideas how to get it back within budget, ultimately.
Well, I guess piggybacking on that, the relationship post, if this does lead to projects, completions, post issues with projects, or post-project issues, material failure, mechanical failure, whatever it would have, installation issues, how do you view that relationship?
This is an easy one for me to answer, because it's my last name associated with the company. We've been in business for 132 years. We stand by our work, and it's literally my name and my family's name, so we take that really seriously, and thankfully, it is very rare for it to ever happen. But, like Shannon said, there are issues that come up, and we stand behind that.
So flipping that, what would be projects you're most proud of you've done? Whether it's very small, where we want to start to a long-term project.
Who wants to go first? Because I'm sure we all have a huge list of them.
Yeah.
I'll say Shannon or Jason, you kick it off.
as George said, there's a lot of them, and I'll kind of make it broad, Chris, I'm sorry, I'm just not picking one. My first project was Genoa City School. They were a small school district way to the south, literally right on the Illinois border. My first project, I was what we call a site engineer. I was with a great superintendent. I learned a ton, and we built a school, right? I wasn't the one swinging the hammer, but I sure helped all the guys that were out there guys and girls busting their butt to build that school. And to walk away from that, and today I can drive by my kids by there and go, that was my first project. They're still using it. And the other ones that have been I've been really proud of is just all the work that we've done in healthcare, and I've been lucky enough to be on a ton of healthcare projects. Me and Jason did ORs out at Ford Healthcare. That's very tough work. It's not easy in an existing hospital with ORs literally 6
6
inches
feet.
away,
Yeah,
right?
well,
Built them right through a wall.
Yeah, literally.
And again, we all figured it out. Was it easy? No. A lot of lost sleepless nights, and some of this gray hair is probably from that job specifically.
That's why I
But
don't have any hair.
doing surgeries in there right now and saving people's lives, those are what make me proud.
Yep.
Got one?
Well, that was part of the pre-con process for the VA Soldiers Home, large project over by the old Miller Park or Amfam Field, whatever they call it now. That was an amazing project. I mean, I was on from the early start of it, walked the building with VA representatives and just went through every inch of that building and what it's being used for now, and to reserve the community and put stuff back in for our veterans is pretty moving to me, at least. And then I want to echo Shannon's. I'd say that the most challenging one I ever had was that Fort OR project. We literally put a mechanic room in the middle of a courtyard, underpin the entire building, and we're doing construction right adjacent to an OR where they're doing eye surgeries. So constant communication and coordination and discussions with everybody. You can't not know what somebody's doing at any given point of your day. I mean, that's the life I come from.
For me, I think I would say Hamilton School District as a whole, because when Shannon was a project manager, I was his admin for quite a few years and got to work out there, and did a little job shadowing, acted as a site engineer so that I could do my job better, to understand like what we actually do on all of our projects. And I've been interacting with that school district ever since, and they recently had a referendum, but before that, it wasn't any referendum that we were working on. It was just them working out of their budgets, and it was just really great to get to know the team over there. And then most recently, we did work on a referendum with them that we're really proud of, and got to work with their team on that. So it's just been a really cool, through my 20 years working here, it's been really cool to see that relationship come to fruition.
I do have one more.
Sorry.
It's a good question.
My first job with Cullen was actually at Whitewater High School. When I first started in the trades, I was a mason tender, and that's the job where I got offered my carpenter apprenticeship, and from there, the rest was history. So, and then shortly after that, I just kept going up and became a superintendent, and then that's why I am here today, because I wanted to do more things behind the scenes, as well as still be able to go out to the sites and be hands-on as well.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick one.
Yeah, there's so many.
Just that I'm a graduate of Janesville Craig High School, and we won multiple RFPs dating back to like 2017 with multiple jobs with Janesville schools. We helped them with their facility master plan and their strategic plan, and getting to, like Katie, getting to do the schools where you're from. It's a really rewarding thing, and I think that's what's cool about what we do. We just did a ribbon cutting for a facility to train first responders. Like, that fills you with a lot of pride. And we all know how much we need people that are willing to do those jobs. So we get to do a lot of really cool stuff.
Yes.
So I guess one thing that kind of impresses me is that each one of you has said that you have worked all your time in this business at the same company, which is, rare these days, whether somebody tries to poach you for somewhere else or, So what is it about this company that sets it apart, that one benefits you and then the school district, that you can say this is why we are a step above?
I'll start first, then give you guys some time to think. So when I got hired with Cullen 26 years ago, I wasn't the smartest kid in college by no means, and they took a chance on me. And you know, I've given presentations to what we call our young leaders or young people in the company, and I will tell you, sitting here as a vice president, now sky's the limit. If you work hard, they allow you to fail. I made a lot of mistakes that cost George's dad some money, and they didn't fire me. They expect you to learn from it, and if you show that, you know, you got this attitude that you want to work hard, you want to learn, and you know, I'm not going to say we don't work hard at Cullen, because we do. It ain't a 40-hour-a-week job, and that's okay when you love what you do, but sky's the limit. And again, I worked for, when I started, George's dad was the president, then David Cullen, his uncle was the president, Ron Becker in between there, and now I get to work with the fifth generation, and they're just a great company, so much so that he mentioned, you know, second generation. My son is now working for us, and I've told him, work hard, learn, and sky's the limit.
I'm more along the lines of what Shannon said, but I think the big driver for me is family. Knowing that their family has the resiliency to have a fifth generation, and the way they treat everybody as their extended family. It's been resonated to me since I first started with Cullen back in 92, 93. And I'll never forget, Mark Cullen came out on the job, and there had to be 50 people on Whitewater High School. He knew every person's name on the job, knew something about their personal history, and knew about your family, knew what your parents did. It was insane. And it resonated in my brain. It's just like, wow, these people honestly truly care about who their people are. And it's always stuck with me. And my son as well is working for the same company, and I told him, I go, you work hard, and you know, the sky is definitely the limit.
I would probably echo what both of them said. Mine was a little bit of a different path than theirs. Like I said, I started out as a project admin on a job site. Milwaukee City Hall was my first project. We did the restoration there many years ago. And I didn't have any clue what I wanted to do. I just knew that I needed to maybe not work in my brother's family business, and I needed to go out on my own. And from that like first job, it just like, I got exposed to so many different roles. 9 months after I started, I got pulled into estimating, and I supported people like Jason. Then I went to support people like Shannon. Then I supported our previous vice president is in an administrative role, and then eventually I moved into our marketing department. And that like foundation that they set for me really helped me to make sure like that I was ready for this role and what we're doing now. And I would just echo what they said, like if the sky's the limit, you just gotta talk about where you want to go, and the Cullens have always been really supportive about getting you there and getting you the experience that you need to make sure that you're ready for your next role.
Yeah, and how it relates to how, what value do you get from that? Our family, we go work somewhere else before we come back to the family business. So I went and worked out in California and came back to the family business, and I was a project manager, and I got in a room with 30 of other project managers, and I looked around and I said, I'm not the smartest person in this room. There were some super talented people that were fortunate enough to have work with us within our company. So I'm being very sincere. Like, the people that we will bring to this project and bring to the district are the best in the industry.
Anything else? Okay, well, we do appreciate the fact that you took time out to come in today and present to us and answer all of our questions. I think that's it with regards to this particular topic.
As you guys are aware, next week, Monday, Buildings and Grounds Committee will convene again and talk through and make a recommendation to the Finance Committee 2 weeks from then, and then to the full board. So we'll keep you, we'll post it. So thank you.
Sounds
for
great.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Go Brewers.
Yeah, that's gotta be one.
Item 6, unfinished business, we have none. Item 7, new business, we have none. Item 8, adjournment. I'll take one final motion today.
I'll second it.
Motion by Cuts, second by Loth. Any discussion?
Sure. Just a quick second.
Yes.
I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to slow this down a little bit and get everybody up to speed on the full board as far as the decision we're looking at making. You know, it was back-to-back nights on off meeting week, but I appreciate the attendance, so thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting ends at 5:30.
Have a good night, you guys.